So if you're not happy in your job, you tend to not eat healthy food.
Yeah.
You tend not to work out, and you tend not to surround yourself with people that uplift you.
Yeah.
So the relationship with your work has a direct relationship with the food
Yeah.
and the exercise. Welcome back to another episode of It Takes Grit. I am in the studio today with Stacey Lindsay.
Thank you. Wow.
You've become such a dear friend of mine.
So fast.
And I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you so much. I think I knew you in another life or something.
I think so.
We finished each other's sentences.
I love it. There's a great connection. So guys, if you've not already subscribed to the YouTube channel or the It Takes Grit podcast, make sure you do. Give us a review and of course share with a friend. You're gonna love this episode because Stacey is going to be diving into a little bit about her eating disorders, her pivotal life changes that you've been making some big decisions over the last year, how you guys can get something from that, and also just your journey. And we're going to learn so much. I'm so fired up. So make sure you share this with somebody, and so that they can have a positive impact in their life today. So first of all, I want to know like where you're from, where you grew up, and just a little bit of your background so we can get familiar with you.
This is so fun.
Isn't it fun?
I thought we're in sunny California. Everything's so beautiful.
I know. We were in New York last time.
Yes,
and
we
it was
were.
a little bit cold.
I am from Massachusetts. I grew up about 20 minutes south of Boston, so I'm a huge Red Sox fan, huge Patriots fan, of course. You can't defect. So we got that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to high school in a small town called Norwell, Massachusetts. And went to college in Boston, and I always wanted to tell stories. That was just my dream from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch, and I still do, but Diane Sawyer growing up. I'm like, how does she do that? You know, I thought it was so important. I thought it was what makes the world go round. So storytelling was always sort of fueling everything that I did. And I grew up, I was a big athlete in high school too, and I was a horseback rider. And went to college and studied journalism in undergrad. Went to Emerson College and did an internship at the local station in Boston, the CBS station. And that's when it really sparked for me. Interestingly enough, too, I kind of took a pivot in college and ended up getting my undergrad degree in film, which was actually serendipitous because that opened up so many unexpected doors for me. It was still storytelling. And my first real job was in New York City. I was working for Magnolia Pictures in the film industry. And it was incredible. It was just like... Yeah, so
it's like the dream, isn't it? To really work in the film industry.
It was the dream. Magnolia at the time was this tiny company. Today it's exploded. But talk about serendipity, though. I was doing the press junket and marketing and press junket for a small indie film called The World's Fastest Indian with Anthony Hopkins. And he came into town for a week to do the press junket. And I got to know him pretty well over that week and his publicist. They left to go back to LA, and I got a call the next day from his publicist, this wonderful man named Paul Block, who passed away this year, but he was such a great in the industry. And Paul was offering me a job. He knew I wanted to do storytelling, and I loved my job at Magnolia, but it was kind of pouring out of me. It's still that journalism and storytelling. So I ended up taking a job for his client, James Caan, out in LA. Wow. And I went and worked for Jimmy Caan for 4 years, helping him. I was his assistant, but kind of his right-hand man. We were producing. I was doing some screenwriting with him, kind of a little bit of everything. And ultimately, though, after that, I was like, the journalism card was still calling, and ended up going back to grad school and got my degree in my master's in journalism, and been a journalist since.
Wow.
So
and you're like,
answer.
Let's just reel off. Who have you wrote articles for? Like, give us your. It's amazing. It's amazing.
You're so sweet. Thank you. I mean, it's covered the spectrum. My career, which is always been a goal of mine. One journalist who I really admire is Julia Reed. I remember looking at her career and her trajectory, and she wrote pieces for Vogue, and then she wrote pieces for Newsweek, and she was a contributor to CNN. I thought, I want to do that. So I started really working for Natural Solutions, which has since folded, but it was this great natural health publication, and that's where really my love for health, fitness, wellness, holistic living came into play. And I was in Boulder at the time too, finishing my master's. And so wrote for a lot of natural health publications, then came back to LA, and I became an editor for a publication called Bromodelista, which is about art and design and was really freelancing for various local publications and some national publications too. But I pivoted again and I did the broadcast route. So I actually was an anchor and investigative reporter for a couple of years, working for CBS.
Wow.
And actually the local Fox affiliate, which was interesting, really interesting. And then I think some of the best journalism out there you can find is in the regional publications. So I was doing a lot of work for the Joplin Business Journal. And now I'm back in LA and I'm full-time and I'm the articles editor at Goop. So do a lot of career health and wellness and financial health. It just covers the spectrum.
So in your vision, this is always something that you wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times, especially with the audience and the listeners, it's like you have an idea about what you want to do, but maybe they're not taking that first step into making it happen. Did you always feel in your brain, in the vision, like this is what I was destined to be, and I just made the steps to make it happen?
I think so. Yeah. Yes. Super hard, obviously. It's scary as heck. Still is today.
Yes.
Every single day. But yes, I always felt like that. And I felt like it's bigger than me. It's actually not about me at all. That's what I felt. And I continue to try and tell myself that. And I think that goes for every single person out there. Of course, I had an inclination. I still have an inclination for storytelling, but that's something bigger than me. I just have to bring that to fruition for the greater good, I think. A pivotal moment for me was when I lost my father, and it was expected and unexpected at the same time. And I was working for James Caan still at the time, and I remember going back to sit with my father his last week of his life, and that's when I realized he was so young. He was 56 when he passed, and I thought, I got to do this. I got to be telling more, I got to be doing the journalism thing. This actually is bigger than me. And it's my responsibility for my father, for my family, for my friends. So
it's kind of like a wake up call to really do what you want to do. And I feel like sometimes in life, we wait for something so big or catastrophic to happen for us to make that pivot. And I remember we were having a conversation over dinner in LA with the group that we were with, and your big thing was like the pivot.
Yes.
It's like, how do you change? And I want you, there's a lot of girls that watch this, and you might be in a job right now that you don't enjoy, or that you're like, I want to do something else, but I don't know how. How do you make that pivot? Because it's scary.
It's scary, and
it's big. And don't just wait for something big to happen to you for you to react to that. So how would you guide someone in making that pivot?
Firstly, we've heard it before. We can't hear it enough. Go with your gut. Your gut knows. We just know. And it's usually, and I call it I feel like there's two types of fear. I think that there is the fear where maybe you see somebody walking down the street and you think, oh gosh, that doesn't feel right. That's the kind of fear that thankfully we have as humans that we listen to, and we kind of go step across the street where there's more people. Then there's the kind of roller coaster fear I talk about, and that's different. That's fun. That is when you're just about to get on the roller coaster. You know it's going to be a blast. You know it's going to be worth it. And then you're second in line. You're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Get on the roller coaster because and then you get back on again and again. Same thing like if you're going to jump into whatever it may be. It's that fun folly fear. So listen to that. Lean into that. Second thing, huge, and I'm doing it right now with our conversations, I've done it in the past, is talk about it. When you have an idea and it can seem so extraordinary, it can seem ridiculous, it can seem like you're not worthy of it, which you are worthy of everything, but it can seem like that. Let's just say, I'm going to set an example, like you're in banking and you think, I really want to start a pie company. Who am I though? I have my degree in banking. I don't really know that much about baking. Everybody sees me as a banker. What am I doing? But start talking about it. Talk about it with your close confidant. Write it in your journal. When you get it out of your mind and it's out there in the world, particularly though when you do confide in somebody, then it's real. Then it's tangible. That's just a huge step. And then that goes back to the responsibility of, you talked about it with a confidant. You talked about it even with your journal or whatnot. it's your responsibility to take the next step and to see it forward because you see it that it's real.
It is. That's so true, because as soon as you tell one person, the first person to tell is like, that's daunting. And then you tell the second person, and then the third and the fourth and the fifth seem really easy. And before you know it, you're just talking about it. You talked about your YouTube channel.
I did.
And then every like so many weeks, I'm like, hey, is it out yet? Because now you're gonna, it's happening.
I'm doing it.
Now it's happening, and it's gonna be taking place. So that's such a great point to be like, okay, wherever you are at, just start telling people. You don't necessarily have to start it.
Right.
It's almost just telling it is going to help you start.
Yes.
Writing it down, putting them on your walls. Yeah.
And there's validity to everything in your mind too. So it could be a dream board. It can be really in any form really. But again, just seeing that it's tangible and that it's real, that means your ideas, your thoughts, your dreams are valid, and I don't care how out there they are.
Yeah, it's
so cool.
It's possible because most likely it's happened before.
Yes.
Someone has been a banker and turned into a baker.
Yes.
Like it's happened before, so there's no reason why other people can't do it as well. It's just taking that first step and making that pivot. How do you think you can address sometimes that you need to make a change or you need to make that pivot? Because I feel like sometimes, you just go through the day-to-day action, maybe in the 9 to 5, and you're doing the same job, and you don't really realize you need a wake-up call.
Yes. I've always said, or I should say, I've been saying for many years actually, is to pay attention to your daydreams. We always talk about, follow your dreams. I think there's huge validity on that, of course, but what does that exactly mean? I started paying attention and tapping into, what do I daydream about? What do I daydream about when I'm in the supermarket line or when I wake up in the morning? And it can be very small moments. And I always found I was daydreaming about being out somewhere in the field and talking to people. That was always what I was daydreaming about. And I would actually see some of the outfits that I was wearing too. I would have moments, and I would daydream about moments coming home to a really loving partner and telling my partner about my day. And my day was filled with interviews and talking to people. And I just started seeing, wow, there's a theme there, that daydream. And I'm doing it now too with the stories that I want to be telling with my YouTube channel I'm working on is, I've been daydreaming about interviewing women more and talking to them more. I have to pay attention to that. So paying attention to those daydreams, I think that is a sign that your energy's going toward.
Because you're almost manifesting it.
Yes, yeah.
I love daydreaming.
Totally are.
I love putting music on in the car and just visualizing something that I want to do. It's like, and you start smiling.
You do
like
start smiling.
You naturally, your shoulders go down and you're almost there. You're like, I'm just walking on this stage and I'm just smiling. So if you are having those kind of thoughts, that's a great sign. It's that daydream.
And you can then just small little nuanced things notice kind of where you're spending most of your time. And for many of us, most of our time during the day is our place of work, whatever that may look like. How do you feel during the day? It seems silly, but how does your skin feel? How does your body feel? Do you feel like those things, because that's a reflection of your health, your mental state, I think, your physical state. I've been in situations in the past where I felt like my skin felt so dehydrated and stale. My body didn't feel good. And I thought, I'm not happy. I got to make a change. I don't want to be doing this anymore. And it was at a job too. I mean, one particular instance, it was a job that served me well for many years. But then I just noticed wasn't feeling that good anymore on the job. I wasn't feeling as vibrant. Again, it was just showing up physically in me. And I thought, I got to change this.
Right.
It's time for a change. So
that's a great point, because if you are feeling like maybe you go and do a workout and your body's tired and I can't even get through this, it's like, and if that keeps happening, if that's repetitive and you're feeling sluggish, your work does have an input on how your body functions.
Does.
So if you're not happy in your job, you tend to not eat healthy food.
Yes.
You tend not to work out, and you tend not to surround yourself with people that uplift you.
Yep.
So the relationship with your work has a direct relationship with the food and the exercise. What is the favorite story? Do you have a favorite story that you've shared of other people? I know that you've shared so many people's stories, but is there one that really stands out to you where you're like, wow, this was super inspirational?
Right. Oh gosh, yeah.
So many.
There's so many. I think it's. I'll generalize at first. It's particularly. I always obviously gravitate towards stories about female identifying people, of course, because I'm a woman, so I'm like, oh yes. But it's the story of somebody having that out there dream and ended up going after it and following it. I'm doing a story soon, which you'll be seeing soon, on this woman who started actually a pie company. And it was just a kind of change of events. And she just wanted to start baking pies and doing it. And now she's got this flourishing business. And
What was she
I
before?
think she was in the catering business before.
Right.
She had done actually several things before. But I was like, yes, you went out and you did that. And I admire that so much. Of course, Gwyneth Paltrow is a huge inspiration of mine. She runs, an incredible company that I'm so grateful to work at. And she was an actress. Everybody knew her as an entertainer and an actress. And she made a huge pivot and went into the lifestyle sphere and started blogging and putting her thoughts out there. And she was raw and vulnerable. And she followed through. And I think, holy cow! I mean, that's a 180 from what she was doing. Amazing.
And being so vulnerable in a place where you are so public.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What was her first blog post?
I remember, it's so funny because I remember getting the first Goop newsletter and I was so excited. It was in 2008 and it was her first newsletter it was a recipe, I believe, for turkey ragu. I think she was a big foodie. But she sent a general newsletter out.
Yep.
And I'm sure many people have to remember it too. And she was just saying, she was talking about she's got a good life because she's not passive about it. And that really resonated with me too. And that was around the time I had just lost my father. And being passive and complacent is the devil, actually.
Right.
And it really gets all of us, and it's so easy to fall into that. So that resonated. But the first thing she sent out was a newsletter. So again, those stories of change and follow through, and that's what just gets me going because it inspires me too. I look at what you do, and I'm like so incredibly inspired. And it's selfish. I just want to be around you.
You want it, and that's the great thing is like I talk about this with my clients and my team members. It's the energy that you give out is what you're going to give back. So if you want to level up your life, the first thing that you want to do is give. Is to give something because you're going to feel good. So if you're not feeling great right now, go and do something good for somebody else. You start to feel good and you're going to start to want to do what other people are around you. It's so true. The 5 people that you hang around with is like the average.
Everything.
It really is. Like whether you're working out, whether you're eating healthy, whether what your environment's like, your Saturday night is like. I mean, like it really does have a huge impact.
It absolutely does. And it's so interesting. I'm wondering if you've seen this, but I've seen sort of seasons in my life too of how I've really worked on myself to get mentally healthy and physically healthy, and how I used to make during the times when it was going through depression or struggle with an eating disorder, all of those things. I was making room for unhealthy things. So I was making room for eating unhealthy. I was making room for not really working out. And I was making room for people who weren't healthy for me. And I probably wasn't healthy for them too. As I started working on my health overall and my passions and what I really wanted to do, there wasn't room for those people anymore. There was room for only the people that make me feel really good.
Wow.
And that's kind of amazing too, just to see that
transition. That's huge.
I'm so cognizant of that too and so grateful of that. And you can, of course, love and care for people, but it maybe doesn't mean that they're a great fit in your life too. So I think that's
totally true. And I share that same, eating disorder, going through that in my teens. And I know there's a lot of our audience that, food is a daily struggle or it's something they think about all the time. What point of your life did you suffer with an eating disorder? What was that like? Can you share that story?
No, thank you for asking about it. I think it was always there, quite honestly, because it was something that I was always, as you were saying, food is obviously something that we have to have in our lives, so we can't escape it. So if there is an issue with it, it's there. It shows up all the time. So it's always been something that I have really had to face every day or sort of lived with. Oh, there you are again.
It's breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Right. Thanks for showing up. It manifested though pretty severely when I was living in the Midwest and I was on TV. That was an anchor. And
how old were you then?
I was early 30s, so 31.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a few years ago, and it really started to show up that way too. I was dealing with bulimia, and it was, of course, I think I was going through a transition. I was dealing with obviously a lot to still digesting the loss of my father. I was in an area of the country, and I'm so glad that I did it, but I didn't know anybody in that area. I moved from LA where I had friends and some family, and moved to the Midwest, and I didn't know anybody, and I was in a completely new realm of journalism and line of work. And of course, it was forward facing too. I was anchoring the news at night, and I was on TV every day. So whoa, there's some pressure here.
So it was a pressure to look thinner?
Yeah.
Was that a pressure that you put on yourself?
Oh, totally.
It wasn't from the outside.
I mean, if you put the pieces together, I'm sure it came from so many different places, as so many things do. I think that you could take a puzzle piece from society, from maybe my personal life, from the studio, perhaps, like so many different places. But ultimately, the biggest piece was myself.
Right. And how much weight did you lose? Where were you at? What was your kind of?
It fluctuated. It actually, because I had gained significant weight, and you know, it's hard to say to quantify too, because you and I are about the same height.
Yeah,
so body types are so
different
too. But when I was in grad school, I had gained some weight that just I felt like I was storing a lot of emotion in that weight too. That just didn't feel healthy. So I had lost that weight probably at the time I moved to work in the news, and then probably lost maybe, it wasn't drastic, but probably maybe 12, 15 more pounds. But for my frame, it was pretty drastic.
Yes.
And I just didn't feel that good.
And were you just not eating, or were you excessively exercising?
I've always dealt with excessively exercising at that time. And then I would just get really nervous and make myself throw up sometimes before I would go on air sometimes.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the behind the scenes stuff that you don't often see. Like, oh, this person's like smiling, looking great, like on camera, but like 5 minutes before this has just happened. So talk to me about the excessive exercise, because I know quite a few girls that are excessive exercise, and I used to do like a ton of cardio, which actually doesn't get you results at all. And I used to not eat and then just run on the treadmill for like 30 minutes and just not eat anything.
You only knew too.
And it's like, no, just do 20 minutes of strength training and you're fine. So have you always been excessive exercise, or was that something that kind of started to happen more in that time period? That time period,
a little bit too when I was younger too. I'm grateful to say I feel like I do not do that anymore. But yeah, during that time, it was a mix between sometimes making myself sick or excessive.
And why excessive exercise?
It felt like an escape, because I didn't want to really, and that's what the thing, I think it's so important for us to be talking about that so much, is it varies for all of us, but it's not always about the weight and the appearance too. It's about escaping something.
100%. Yes.
So it was just, if I was exercising, I had to deal with the fact that I'm exercising so hard and I'm so tired and I'm so sweaty. Like, that's what's in front of me. That's what I have to deal with, rather than, oh, I'm actually really lonely, or I'm actually really stressed out, or not really happy right now. I need to fix some things. Not really feeling good. That was what I really needed to focus on. But no, I was too busy exercising. Or I was too busy, getting sick or whatnot. Like, it gave me something that was mine, and it's a control thing.
Yeah.
100% huge control thing.
Yeah.
Which I think so many of us, it's a human condition, I think, to want to feel autonomy.
It's so interesting with the excessive exercise, because I never even realized that I used to do it until I started talking to other people, which is so important. It's why you talk about it, because I didn't think that what I was doing was excessive. But now I look back, I'm like, whoa, you were like gnarly on the treadmill going for like an hour at a time, like morning and night. And now I'm hearing other people's stories of excessive exercise. And I've also seen it, when people come to fit camps and they're doing it, it's not even going to get you the result. It's not even about the body. It's not even about, like, I don't even feel like the transformation. It's such a mental thing, and it's an escape.
Yes.
It's like the harder you run, you're like running away.
You're running away.
You're running away from it. So what was like, do you remember a pivotal moment or something where you were like, okay, this is not healthy. I don't feel good. And how did you change that?
Yeah. Still working on it. Still facing it. The exercise, so obviously it was several things, but I think the biggest thing was I left the Midwest and I moved back to LA, and that was really a period of regrowth, of growth, I should say, not regrowth, growth in health, and I had an incredible time in the Midwest doing the news, but there was a huge time of learning and exploration of myself, and I realized there was many things that I had to work on. Went back intensely into therapy in LA, which I'm a huge advocate for, of course, just talking through it. So those were two huge things: a big life change, therapy, really making space for loving people in my life. I've always had loving people in my life, but really making them priority myself priority and the people in my life priority. I'm so grateful. I have my partner, my boyfriend, he's number one. I'm number one, and then he's number 1.5 for me.
Right. Yeah. I like that 1.5. Yeah.
And that's helped too. That's helped with being overstressed with work. That's helped with, when I do feel overstressed, it kind of still creeps up sometimes. Like, I could actually just go and get sick and it'll just take my mind off of things. But no, I think I need to be healthy for myself. I need to be healthy for my partner. I need to be healthy for my family and friends. So just working on that mindset, that really helped me get out of it, I think. Exercise, what really helps me now is I do what's fun for me. I do what brings me joy, like your videos. I feel good in the environment when I'm watching you and in your workout environment, as opposed to I used to do a lot of things that were trendy, a lot of things that I thought I had to do that will give me the perfect butt. And I didn't, it was torture. And I would do it for so much longer than you really had to do. So I do what makes me feel good, what's fun. And also I think about circulation, which is huge. So I used to work out because I wanted to specifically work on my butt that day or run 1,000,000 miles or make sure that I lost this many calories. And now I'm like, I just need to keep circulation, to keep things healthy. It's not just about my weight.
So that I can be healthy and live forever. Yeah, and healthily.
So, and it can be, some days it could be doing something for 9 minutes, and that's okay for me. And I feel better after those 9 minutes than if, I've got to go work out for 2.5 hours. No, I don't want to do that anymore.
Right. I don't have the time anymore. There's more things that I'd like to be doing, like chatting to you. I'll do like 20 minutes of workout, have a chat with your girlfriend. Like that's really, it's the memories. And I realized that I've lost so much time thinking about what I was going to eat or what I was not going to eat. And I'm like, wow, that's scary. Like I could have done so many more fun things with my life had I not been in that kind of, mindset. But it's a daily, and we're not saying this is easy to get over or to change. It is still a daily, thing in your brain once you've done excessive exercise or you've eaten healthy. For me, recently, I got down to like 86 pounds when I was 17 years old. So like super tiny, and I look back now and go, how is that even possible? Like, where was I? Because I'm like 108 pounds. And, recently you get into waves. I don't know about you, but like sometimes I'm like super in on my workout routine. Totally. And then there's like weeks where I'm like, I get, it's so funny. I'll share with you. This is me being vulnerable. I have got 3 strikes in a row at Equinox Gym because I haven't shown up in the last week for my workouts. Like on the,
we all do it.
Because you're supposed to like plug it in. And it goes, I'm sorry, you're now banned for the next week. Yeah. I'm like, the intention was there.
It hits your heart.
And I was like, God damn it. But I go through phases where, and it's funny, I managed to get into a yoga class 2 days ago. I was telling the girls, I fell asleep at the end because I'm like, my body just needed to stretch out. I'm tired. I had a trainer on Tuesday morning, and I have a trainer once a week. She just works on my glutes. And I did 20 minutes of the workout, and I thought I was going to throw up. And I was like, I think I'm done. She goes, you sure we can just do some kettlebell swings, whatever? I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm actually like, and I paid for the session, and I was like, just stretch me out. And so you might do a workout and you just feel like this isn't working today. And so we go into waves where we're like, I'm so on my fitness game, and we work out every day. And then we're on a roll, and then something happens, like you travel somewhere or you go to a birthday party, and all of a sudden you just completely fall off the wagon.
Or you could just wake up one day, just feel off. Yeah. And you just have an off week or an off day or an off month, whatever it may be. And I think not fighting that too, because then that's where shame comes in, and shame is just the gnarliest thing in the entire world.
Yeah, it's fine if you get 3 strikes at Equinox and then you can't like use the online booking form anymore. Like, it's fine.
Just thank you for sharing that. Talking about that too is the other thing.
Yes,
just talking about it, and then I don't want you to feel bad about missing Equinox classes at all. I want you to be psyched that when you do work out next, you're going to feel good.
It's like, I'm going to film today and it's going to be great, and I didn't film this week, no problem. But I used to really beat myself up about it, and I used to be so obsessed with body image. And it's, how have you seen the shift too? Going from, when I was a teen, it was like the Olsen twins and size 0, and there was like models, and now it's like fit and like having hips and curves. Like, how have you seen the transition in like body image through your journalism?
Oh gosh, what a great question. Because that was actually my thesis in grad school, was how the media portrays particularly women in magazines. And it's so fascinating to see. Look at all the covers over the years. And there's been like a fluctuation too. I mean, in the 80s, there was like the more robust Cindy Crawford, the curvy, and then the Kate Moss style models came into play in the early 90s, I think.
Yeah.
You definitely have seen such a shift. I just feel like, thankfully, we're in the right, healthy direction. Still got a lot of work to do, but I just think the most sexy, attractive, beautiful thing is to see somebody healthy and taking care of themselves and their skin. And I think that's being more portrayed in the media. I want to portray anybody in my stories if I can, but that's owning it and living their best life and taking care of themselves. That's so inspiring to me. So I feel like there's a healthy wave toward it, but it's up to all of us to be, I think, reading those stories and wanting more of those stories out there, so it perpetuates that storytelling.
I love that too. Like now it's like fit is the new healthy, and it's just like own your body, like what, and that's so great because we are all built so differently. Like we're not going to get the same results, even if we did the same nutrition plan, we did the same workouts. Like our bones are just different. Like, and that's what's such a huge thing. And one of the big things with all like body image and empowering people is like the support from others online. And I feel like as a woman, we have to teach other people to lift people up online rather than being negative and being trolls. Like, I don't know how you've seen that working with
that's the huge. I'm so thank you so much for bringing that up too, because that's been the biggest thing too. When you asked several minutes ago about my journey working through eating disorders and having better mental health and whatnot, that is huge too. It's really realizing that I am not going to allow people that make me feel bad in my life. I'm really not. And then realizing that there is room for everybody to thrive, to shine, to be themselves. And that is our responsibility. So with that said, we need to be nice to each other, because when you rise, I rise. When you rise, we all, what is it? The more water, the boats rise.
Yes, absolutely.
That has been so important to me. And I have to say the past year too, it has helped me in so many ways, because I've spent so much, majority of my life, feeling not good enough, feeling bad, feeling around, if I was in a room of cool girls or whatnot, like, oh gosh, I'm going to kind of demote myself in a sense. No, I'm not going to do that anymore, because it's actually everybody. I really feel that everybody is good. But when you do come across somebody who is not lifting you up and not making you feel good and kind of trying to put you down, they are going through something. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. And it took me 3 decades to learn that. But I am so glad. And once I started learning that too, it has helped. It has helped with, again, I can't say it enough, my health, my career, my eating disorders, all of that. And again, making room. So now I have room. I meet you. People like you. Look at the community that you and I have in common too. Like incredible women that really don't have any motive but to be there for you, to see you, and to lift you up. It's cool, and it exists.
Yeah.
If you told me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, that's not a thing. That doesn't exist.
No, those really people aren't there. Yeah. I would think that too. And it's when you hear something online or someone says something to you, it's like, it's so hard not to do this, but it's true. Don't take it personally, because it's got nothing to do with you. It's 100% with what they're going through. So how I reply, we don't get much negativity at all, because our community is amazing. But what I've seen, it's like, I'm sending you love. That's what I reply. It's like, sending you love today. I hope you're having a great day.
That's so beautiful.
Because if you start to like retaliate and react, you're just going to fire yourself up, and you're going to lose your own energy, that's like so scary. Like, hold on to your energy and really just level yourself up so that you could be an example for other people.
I agree. That's so big of you. And it's such a contribution of you to do that too, to be generous with those people too. Because I think also somebody maybe reaching out and saying something mean or whatnot is they just want to maybe feel seen too. And if you do send them back light and love, I had some pretty amazing in a really bad way, comments when I was on air, when I was an anchor. And
were you really?
Just mean. And it was sometimes just kind of from left field. One particular person wrote in because I misplaced the name of her city. And I understand that, having pride. Again, I'm from Boston, so I have pride.
Yes.
But she said, yes, don't call me a dummy several times. And I just wrote back, thank you so much for watching, and I
appreciate the feedback,
and I wish you well. And she wrote me back a really nice note after that. So,
who knows? Kill people with kindness. Absolutely, kill people with kindness, and be 100% authentic you, and own yourself. Because I feel like we've been hiding back, maybe not saying like what we think, maybe not being our full selves. I went to an event earlier this year, and I was like, I'm just like not cool enough to be here. I'm like, they're all the cool gang over there. And like, I was like, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to participate. I'm going to join in. I'm going to say my name. Hello. And I'm like, these people are now my friends.
Yes.
And it's like such a difference when it's almost like you've got your own ego inside of you that makes you think, oh my goodness, I'm not good enough, or they're not going to like me. Like, just let it go and be like 100% authentically you. Yeah.
You do that.
I love it. Everybody do that. That's
the
the biggest thing. And I'm excited because what is coming up for you in the next coming months? What's still the plan for you?
Yeah. More storytelling. And I want to be, so what I loved when I worked in the news is when I was out in the field reporting and just had the opportunity to have these people tell me their stories. It is such an honor. It's such an honor. So pulling from that chunk of the news that I loved and concentrating on female identifying people doing their thing in the working world, finding their place. So again, women who have made pivots in their careers and are just owning it. I want to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to piece together their very succinct 3-minute videos about female founders, female careerists. It's going to be called Take 3.
Okay.
And just, stories. I'm starting that. It's a passion project.
I love that.
Video storytelling.
I love that too, because I feel like now you're like, I know what you're doing, but like, as you're like visualizing it, this is such a good go-to guide for like a pick-me-up when you're like, I need to hear somebody else's inspirational story. And I feel like that could be a great, the blog, the book, like everything, like having all these people's stories so that you can relate to them. Like you might read one person's story and be like, that's awesome, but I don't get it. And then you can listen to somebody else and be like, oh my goodness, that is so me. Like if she can do it, I can do it too. So where can they find all of this stuff? Where's it going to be? I'm so fired up for this.
Oh gosh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to be releasing it at the end of June.
Okay.
And so I'll be releasing it on my Instagram.
Okay.
At Stacey Lindsay. And then from there, I'll direct you to the Take 3 site. So
okay.
It'll be on my site, staceyandlindsay.com.
So it'll be on the website. There's going to be a YouTube, and it's going to be on the Instagram as well.
On my Instagram is the best way.
I love this. So if you need a pick-me-up one day, maybe you're having a funny 5 minutes, you're in a funk, the best thing to do is go to your Instagram, click on your website, read a story, and be inspired.
Thank you.
I think that is such a great nugget.
I think we all need to see these stories. There's such an amazing women that you read about in the these magazines that you see at the grocery store or whatnot. But there's so many women that stories aren't being told that we need to
100% and things that
and
things that people will be able to relate to, and like know that your story, what you're going through, isn't unusual. Because as soon as you start to talk about it, you're like, me too. Really? You have an eating disorder? Oh my goodness, like me too. So when you start to share your story, you won't feel sometimes like a victim.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this happened to me. They don't understand because I went through X, Y, and Z. Now, people don't know half the stuff that I've been through yet. I'm sharing it as I'm becoming more comfortable. But it's like, hey, like your story, own your story and share it, because I guarantee you someone has been through something very similar. Yeah.
And I think that we have to be contributors to the world, and I think that's our contribution, is to tell our stories.
I love it. Well, if any of you guys are watching and you want to share your stories with us in the comments below on YouTube, or you want to send us in a message on Instagram, I'm going to put all the details in the description. I'd love to hear some of the stories from you guys of maybe where you've made a big pivot in your life, something that you've come over, and we get to share that with you guys as well. So, Stacey, thank you so much for being on this episode today and being so vulnerable and open and sharing this with us. Guys, thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, get those 5-star reviews on the It Takes Grit podcast, and we'll see you on our next episode. Bye, guys.